Hey everyone, Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal in Southeast Florida. Today we're going to be doing some truck and trailer maintenance as well as reviewing different pieces of equipment to use for junk removal to help you be a little bit more efficient. So make sure you stay tuned. Okay, so earlier we went ahead and cleaned the inside of Tanya's car. Now we're doing our truck for the junk removal. And the first thing we're going to do is the oil change. So yes, I wear gloves because who wants oil on their hands? It's impossible to clean off and it's a pain. So went ahead and popped off the cover here. We're gonna go ahead and replace the filter really quick, put in the new oil, and we already did an air filter earlier, and then we'll do a tire rotation probably Monday. I try to do my tire rotation the same day I do my oil changes. It just makes it easier to keep track of everything. And let me know down below if you change your own oil on your trucks. I know some people don't because they don't have the time, they don't want to deal with it, too much of a headache. Maybe you live in an apartment building, you don't really have the space to do it. I personally, to go out and spend money on an oil change is pretty expensive. People are like, oh, but oil costs so much. It really doesn't. Like, my truck takes 7 quarts. And for me to buy 5 quarts of oil is about 35 bucks. And there's usually a sale as well where, like, you buy a 5 quart of oil and then you get a free filter. You can't beat that. And, like, the time it takes to do it, 15 minutes maybe, 20 tops, versus driving somewhere, leaving your truck there, and then like having to spend $100 on it. I do my own personally. I don't know a crazy amount about cars. I can do an oil change, I can change the air filter, I can change the cabin air filter. Everything else, I kind of let the professionals do, or my family members, but I don't like paying for oil changes personally. So we're gonna go ahead and pop out the filter, and then we'll drain out the oil next, and then move on to the next car. You know what else is great when you're the one doing your oil change? Is that you don't have to worry about this taking a freaking impact drill to take it off. It's crazy how tight they make this thing sometimes. Just one quick poop and then just unscrew it with your hand, easy peasy. So I grew up with like old shitty cars. Like when I was 18, I bought my boss's car, which was a 1990 GMC Jimmy that needed some TLC to say the least. And I just always had issues with it. And we used to do oil changes like pretty much every month or two because it was always just either leaking oil or just something wrong with it. And we just always took we took extra caution with handling things sooner than needed. And then my next car was a 1990 Chevy Lumina. Great car, but eventually, like the Jimmy, it had issues. And again, I was doing constant oil changes and radiator flushes and the whole 9 yards. And then when I got my first newer car, which was a 2013 Hyundai Elantra, I got that back in 2016, so not too old, 3 years. For me, it was a big deal. I never had to do anything. I got oil changes done every, I think, 3 months or so, which probably earlier than probably necessary. I probably could have done 4 or 5 months, but I was driving a lot for my job. And since then, I've just always done oil changes every couple of months. I don't like pushing it to the limit. I always just think it's something that it's not a massive expense, and I think there's nothing wrong with doing it a little earlier than necessary. So that's just always been my opinion about it. But this is pretty much done. I was just letting it drip out the last remains. We'll plug it up, wipe it off, and then add in the new oil, and then that'll be it for this car. Round 2, gotta get those 7 quarts in. All right, that's it. We'll let it set, we'll check it, let it set again, check it again, let the car run for a little bit, and then we will move on to the wife's car. Welcome to the next day. We just went to Home Depot, picked up a snow shovel, or at least something similar to it, and I got some clips that I'm going to attach to the trailer that I think will make storage a little neater and organized without having to just keep cluttering stuff into the back of my truck. When it comes to tools like that, I'll have my push broom, I have my regular broom that I bring into the house. I keep that in my truck bed so it doesn't get wet and collect dirt and dust. And then I'll have a metal yard rake, a snow shovel. All right, so what we're gonna do is take everything out. We're gonna hose off the floor, get all this crap out of it, and we're gonna go through with the brush and car wash fluid and just take off some of the surface area on the walls like we did on the outside. Which, by the way, here's the clips. Works out perfect, nice and snug. And then I'll put the rake right next to it and it'll sit right next to it. So, working out so far. All right, the exterior is all done. It obviously needs to get painted at some point again, but I think overall that cleaned up pretty well for just using a standard microfiber brush and just gently brushing it all and getting all the surface area of dirt off. Went ahead and got the wheel wells as well. Now we're gonna go ahead and clean the inside. All right, went ahead and hosed out the trash cans. We got a little bit of water and bleach in there in each one just to kind of help eliminate that smell a little bit. We'll swish it around every now and then rinse them out one more time. Trailer is all clean, ready to go. We got all of our D-rings back up. So these I got from Amazon when I bought the E-Trax, and then I got a couple of extra of them from Harbor Freight. They are great because you can move them up and down and use them for bungees or attaching carabiner clips to. I use them, I dedicate the top slot to every single E-Track because when I pull my tarp up, in case I have something kind of up high or maybe I have some like plastic bags like right here. Ooh, that looks so white, doesn't it? It was nice and clean. When it dries, it looks nice. It doesn't look quite as clean when I was wet. Anyways, I'll use these to attach either a carabiner clip to directly if I have the room for it, or I'll use a bungee to tie it on to keep this pinned down so nothing flies out. Now, the following equipment I'm about to show you isn't anything special. It's nothing you haven't seen before, and there's a lot of different variations for it. So there's some to kind of pick and choose from, whether you like brand specific or maybe you want something a little bit more compactful or versatile, whatever the reason may be. There's about 4 pieces of equipment that I can get pretty much any job done with. That's a hand truck, a dolly, mattress bars, and a speed pack. And I've never had a job I couldn't do with those items alone. Now, if you don't have a speed pack available to you, you can get a U-line car, you can get the trash cans on wheels like we have soaking right now in bleach. There's a lot of different options out there. You're not just screwed if you don't have a speed pack. But we're gonna talk about some of them. I'll talk about some of the things that as a mover, I notice maybe a bit more than others when it comes to quality. And then I'll also show you kind of the difference between a few of them. All right, we're gonna do a voiceover because throughout this entire clip, there's a bird right outside the garage chirping away, and honestly, I was getting annoyed enough to pause the video multiple times, so I'm sure you guys will as well. But what I wanted to show you is some basic pieces of equipment that I use on a daily basis that allow me to get pretty much every single job done with ease. And that is a hand truck, a dolly, a mattress bar, and speed pack. So first up is a dolly. It's a very standard dolly, 4-wheeler dolly. This one specifically has a flat top to it. An alternative would be that it has a raised ledge on each side called a rubber cap dolly. And the main difference aside from that is that it also has a little bit of a thicker wheel. So the one I just showed you is a 3.5-inch caster wheel. The other one is a 4-inch caster wheel. And the bigger the wheel, typically the little bit more smooth it is going over small crevices and cracks. Now, the other good thing about the rubber cap dolly, because it sits a little higher, is if you have something that maybe has little feet on it and the most secure spot is the bottom of it, and you put that on the dolly as is, that little extra height will really help you out to help prevent scratching any floors. So that's another alternative. And also, it's more commonly used for the mattress bars. So when you're picking out dollies, there's two things to really look for. Number one, the weight capacity. Most of them nowadays can hold easily 500 pounds, so that's not much of a concern. But the wheels is the most important part. You want to make sure you get some hard rubber wheels and at least 3 inches. There's other dollies that I'm about to show you that have those cheap little plastic wheels, little 2-inch wheels, some of them are 2.5. Those aren't ideal for everyday moving. They're fine to put your heavy generator on or a toolbox on in your garage that's just going to go back and forth on a smooth floor. But to use them up and down like a paver driveway or getting over weather strips or little cracks in a sidewalk, they're not the most ideal. You're going to be having something heavy on it, hitting these little cracks, and you're going to feel the piece shift. And that's not good because that means that it could potentially fall off or slide off or tip over, which could cause injury or damage to the property around you. So you want to make sure that you're getting good quality wheels versus something that's going to get caught on every little imperfection on the ground. So imagine you're in like a nice car with good suspension and good tires. It's a nice, smooth, quiet ride. But you put yourself in a car with less good suspension and less good tires, and you're going to hear and feel every single little bump. Now, next up we have a hand truck. This is a standard hand truck. This is actually an extended height hand truck, so it's 5 feet tall versus a standard 48 inches. Now, when it comes to hand trucks, there's 2 things to watch for. Number one, a handle. I personally like a handle like the one I have here because it allows you a very favorable grip. Think about if you were doing a pull-up and you have a grip that you can either hook your hand around or you can do palm up. So you're either in a supinated or a pronated grip. Those are typically your most strong grips, especially when you can wrap your hands all the way around it. But if you were to get the ones that have the straight little knobs like I just demonstrated there, like you typically see UPS or FedEx using, those aren't the most ideal for anything when you're going up and down stairs because you're not going to have that strong grip to hold on to. Imagine you had to hang from a pull-up bar with those 2 little knobs, like little pipes you're hanging from. Tell me which one you're going to have better grip with. Something like that where you're happy to grip a neutral grip, or something that you could hook your palm around with your fingers and hold on to with all of your force. So those are really like the main differences. And there's a few different styles of the handles. I personally like the one that has an option. Specifically, you have the top curve like I do, and you also have the one that comes out like I'm holding on to at the moment. And the other reason for that is that middle grip is in the center of the dolly, which means you're going to have the center of the weight every time. Then the next thing to watch out for dollies is the wheels. You want to make sure you get Carefree wheels. There are other alternatives that are okay. You can get the ones that have the air in them if you keep them inflated. But typically Carefrees are best to go to because it's not going to have to worry about it getting flat when you have something heavy on it. You don't have to worry about getting a screw or nail in it and having to replace it. You can't really patch some of them the same way you do a bike tire, so that could be annoying and costly. And in addition to that, you also want to make sure you're not getting the small little dinky wheels. Just like the dollies, you don't want a little 4, 5, 6-inch dolly wheel because it's going to be hard getting over weather strips. It's going to be harder getting up and down stairs. So you want to make sure you get at least 8 to 10 plus inch wheels and Carefree. And then the last thing, this is just a personal grudge I have. Not really a grudge, but something I noticed. Don't get the ones that have the little lips. Like they're like little 6-inch lips. Like a typical appliance dolly usually has like 4 to 5-inch lip. And the reason why is you want that extra surface area at the bottom so that way you have more contact with the piece that you're moving and you don't have to worry about it sliding around or wanting to lean forward when you tip the dolly back. So the next things we're going to get into is something that not a lot of junk removal, if any, really use. I know I've gotten a couple people to purchase it, which is awesome because it's such an awesome tool and it's something that you'll typically see a moving company with, and I'll show you that in just a second. Here's the magical item I'm trying to get everybody to buy. They are called mattress bars or upright dolly bars. And what they do is sit on a dolly. So this is the other type of dolly I was talking about. These are 4-inch wheels, and you see the extra lip here versus it just being flat gives you a little bit more height. Now these are more ideal for the mattress bars. They hook right on to the board just like this, You put one on each side. And now what you have is something to put anything inside of it. Ideally, a mattress, for example. You get a big, heavy king mattress. If you've ever had to drag those through an apartment building or a storage unit, they're floppy, they're heavy, they suck to grab. They're not really a one-man thing typically. You could carry a king mattress by yourself if you put it up on your shoulder and wingspan it, but it's not the most comfortable and nobody really likes to do it. So what you could do instead is you slide it in here, and then the dolly catches the weight, and this keeps it upright. It's a beautiful partnership. This is your ideal love relationship right here. Mattress bars, dolly. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. Yes, I just rhymed. M&M. So, with the mattress bars, they're not just for mattresses. If you have a debris job and you have a bunch of wood, drywall sheets, maybe glass panels, maybe they broke up the granite tabletop or the granite countertop and they're in long slabs, you can put those on here. As long as you're within the weight limit of the dolly and you don't have anything just absolutely insanely heavy leaning on one side. Yes, these will bend eventually, but they're really hard. These things are solid steel. You can put a lot of stuff between this and then roll it out to your truck. It makes things a lot easier. I use these for pretty much anything that will fit between these bars. So tabletops, glass tops. You ever get a 3/4 inch thick glass top, like a big one? Those things are fucking heavy and they suck and they're a liability because if they break, they will literally fillet your skin. Drywall pieces, wood pieces, long pieces of carpet, short pieces of carpet, stack it up. Multiple picture frames. Anything you can fit between here, you can stick and roll to your truck. It makes things so much easier. Now, the hard part is finding them. You can get similar ones on Amazon, but they don't just hook on freely and come right back off. You have to use a screw to fasten them in place. Not the biggest of deal if you can spend 5 minutes each time, but otherwise, there's a few places you can kind of go. If you just Google upright dolly bars or moving mattress bars, you can probably find something similar. I can't really put a website out there that I can vouch for that I know is credible, so I'm not going to. But you can check out New Haven Moving Equipment. You can check out MES Moving Supply, and you can try to look up in your area a moving distribution warehouse. You can also call some of your local moving companies to see where they get their equipment and boxes from. There's a good chance there's a local company nearby. Not everyone ships from out of state. So if you can find out where you get their stuff from, you can usually go there and they're typically open to the public. But, you know, of course, call in advance. But these items right here alone, the dolly, the mattress bars, and the hand truck, you can get so much done with, and you can do it without breaking your back. People wonder like, oh, don't you ever get tired always doing this by yourself? Not really. I get tired the same I would if I did anything else all day, but I'm not burning myself out. I'm not constantly like, oh my God, my back, my neck, my shoulders, oh, my hips, my legs. No, I get my tired days, sure, but it's no different than if you were working with somebody else. You're still gonna get tired. But the fact that I can use these to literally alleviate so much weight is a game changer. Like once you know how to use these properly and you learn the techniques of moving, junk removal becomes freaking easy. Very easy. So these are the main things I recommend. The last thing is called a speed pack. You guys see me use them all the time. A speed pack is a very large commercial cardboard open top box. The size of it inside is like a cubic yard and a half, but of course you can stack up with things. It's about 30 inches wide, 28 to 30 inches deep, and it's like 42 inches long. So it folds up just like a box. Down. And just like that, you have a giant box that you can put a bunch of crap in and wheel it out to your truck. Either offload it or leave it in there, doesn't matter. It is a double wall correlated box. It's pretty sturdy. They can hold easily 500-600 pounds. And the only downfall to them is when they get wet, they start to break down a little. But if you can take care of them, they will last you a while. The ones that I get are about 20 bucks. Depending on your state and where you're getting them from, I would estimate probably 18 to 30 for most places. And all you do is stick it on a dolly. Remember how I mentioned that these 3 alone get a lot of things done? You use a dolly for the mattress bars, you use a dolly for the speed pack. That's it. So if you can't find a speed pack, find a Uline cart. If you can't find a Uline cart, get a Gorilla cart. If you can't get a Gorilla cart, use the trash cans, put them on the wheels, put them on the dolly. Use something to contain smaller items to maximize how much you can take in each trip, which is going to save you time and overall energy output.